We are back. Another great episode. Thank you if you've been following along with us. The Business Project podcast has been going on, and we've been creating that journey for viewers and ourselves, right? To bring us into the entrepreneurial world the right way and with a strong foundation. So we're excited for this week. Got some good stuff to talk about. Picking business entities and the bank accounts.
We're back in your wheelhouse.
Yes.
All the boring stuff.
This is going to be a good, short and sweet podcast because the information you need to get from this
very compact.
Perfect. Very compact.
And it's just what you need to know. It's not, there's no rainbows and butterflies. It's like, this is what you need to know and this is what you need to do. Now go do it.
Now let's go.
Let's do it. The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Casey Bryant, marketer and event planner.
If you run a business
or want to run a business,
welcome to the show. And we're back. Hope you enjoyed our intro. I love that intro.
I love it too. We got new technology we're working on. We're experimenting with some technology. So
yeah,
there might
you're
be a little
watching
bumps
this week, you're the guinea pig.
Yeah.
But
it'll get better. Yeah.
It's all about progress, right? You got to start somewhere, and then we add the new technology, and then it enhances the viewership. The goal is to enhance the viewership and the delivery, right? So
yeah. That way it makes it better overall experience for you guys. But in order to do that, I feel like we have to mess things up a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, you got to break it to fix it.
You do. So. Yes. Speaking of breaking it to fix it, you guys don't have to break it to fix it because we're just giving you all the fixes it.
We're doing it for you.
We are right here in this podcast. And today's going to be a lot of John's wheelhouse as we talk about picking your business entity, registering your business, and opening a business bank account.
Yes, all great, important topics. So if you've been following along since the beginning, we've gone through different stages of the preparation process, through the business planning, the market planning, and really getting your branding down. Now, all right, we've converted to the execution phase about 2 episodes ago. We started doing to the execution implementation phase.
We did all the brainstorming fun stuff at the beginning. And if you guys missed our first couple episodes, no worries. That's why we're making it a podcast, and they're all recorded. You can go back on either Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, and you can listen from the very beginning, and it takes you step by step by step by step in starting a business.
Yeah, you might have to go back a couple times. The good thing about it is it's there as a resource now. Mm-hmm. So you got it in your tool belt. I love that tool belt. Like Batman, like the Gotham City style. So here we go. Last week we got into the CPA, right? Picking the right CPA.
An attorney.
The attorney, like the kind of like foundational partnerships you should have. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple more that we're going to get into down the road, but some foundational partnerships for a business. But once you have those, in speaking with your CPA and your attorney, because I highly recommend you consult with them.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah. And they can even help you with a lot of what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly.
Actually, we highly recommend finding a good accountant, a good business attorney, working through these next couple steps, because it's really important that you get it right and that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And it's preventative maintenance, right? You would rather put a little bit into it now, both financially and time, do the research, get it set up properly, and it'll save you a ton of money and a ton of time later.
A ton. Believe me, a ton. So as you've consulted with your CPA and your attorney, your discussion is, what kind of business entity should we be? I'm not sure. What are the business entities that are out there?
How do we know which one is best for what we're starting?
Yeah. I mean, do I need to be protected? Does it matter? Does it not? What's
How
the
do I
easiest?
do it without getting all of my money taken away from me?
Yeah. Some tax benefits. Which one will provide me the most benefits? Mm-hmm. And in all honesty, everyone's situation is different. So there's no cookie cutter answer to this question of what business entity you should be for your business. What I can say is let's talk about the different entities that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And even deep within the entities, like a nonprofit, there's a 501c3. That's the only one I know. I know there's a bunch of other ones, right? So like even with a corporation, there's S Corp or a C Corp. Within each one of these, there's different. And then within each state, there's different regulations for each one, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's why a business attorney or a CPA comes in helpful, because then you can break it down. Even once you figure out which entity you want and have a general understanding of them, then you can make sure that you're doing the right like subcategory underneath the category.
Right. So the purpose of this is to give you that kind of general knowledge so that when you approach your CPA attorney, you're kind of like, you have an understanding of what the conversation should sound like and should go about.
Exactly.
So the first entity type is a sole proprietorship. That's the most popular.
The simplest.
Yeah, I believe 95% of the small businesses in our country are sole proprietors. And what is a sole proprietor? It's you. You are your business. If you have a business, let's say you're selling something out of your house, or you're typically working from home or doing something. Have an online store. Yeah.
You create tables and sell them in a little shop down the street.
Right.
All of those things.
Those are the most popular sole proprietors. And I'll give you an idea of what it looks like. So a sole proprietor is a business that utilizes your social security number as your ID, as your business ID, right? So in essence, if John Crespo had a sole proprietorship, the name of my business would be John Crespo. John Crespo's lawn service or whatever.
Or you could get a DBA. Can you get a DBA under sole proprietorship?
Yes, you can. Yeah. Now, getting a DBA, so a DBA is doing business as. So your business would still be John Crespo, right? But then you're doing business as, and you give it a name. So you can say, John Crespo doing business as Blue Shirt Lawn Care. So
did you say that because you're wearing a blue shirt?
Because I'm wearing a blue shirt. There you go. And I saw the blue through the corner of my eyes. I was like, all right, there we go, blue shirt.
I love it.
I had to, get quick on my feet on that one. Because I'm not creative at all when it comes to names.
That's
but
so funny. Yeah.
Right? So that's an example of a sole proprietor, and a sole proprietor that can also have a name for their business, but is done through what's called the DBA, doing business as. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but a sole proprietorship is the easiest one to start. It's the easiest one to figure out taxes. It's just easy overall. It's the cheapest, right, to do. But the downside, I think we need to talk about the positives and negatives of each one, right? The downside to a sole proprietorship is you're not as protected. So if something were to happen, they could sue you personally because you and your business are one and the same, right?
Correct. So you're assuming all the responsibility for your business because there's no separation there, right? They call it liability separation. There's no separation of liability when it comes to a sole proprietor. So that's one thing you have to take into consideration. If you're going to be a sole proprietor, make sure you have good insurance.
Yeah. And if you're doing something like a dentist or even a dog groomer or something where you have haircuts, right? Like a high probability of having something happen, having somebody get hurt or having somebody be very unhappy with what you do, then a I cannot talk today. A sole proprietorship is probably not a good solution for you.
Right. You want to make sure that the risk factor when it comes to operating your business is thought about when you're determining the entity. So the more risk involved in doing your business, the more potential for someone to get hurt or yourself to get hurt. Then you want to make sure that you have a little separation between your business and your business assets and your personal assets.
Yeah. And even if you are a sole proprietorship, you still should be having a separate bank account, which we're going to get into a little bit later. You need to have a separate bank account.
Right. Every business should have a separate bank account from your personal. Yeah. I'm excited about that topic.
Yeah. All right. So if they want a little bit more protection, what's the next level?
You have limited liability corporation, so also known as a LLC, which is probably the second most popular because it's another easy one. That does come with added costs because you have to register with the state as an LLC, and the states charge fees for that. Every state is different as far as the process involved in creating your LLC, but you still have to register with the state, the LLC.
So it's separate. That's the first level of separation, right? You get an EIN number, which is like your business's own social security number, and it puts like a wall in between you and your business.
Right. There is that limited separation. So it's not fully separated. So your business is not kind of like its own person just yet. You're still kind of like you're maybe a Siamese twin. Right? You're sharing some bodily functions, organs together, but you're two separate, kind of two separate things. You're getting there at least. Yeah.
And tax wise, it's taxed very similar to a my words are not working today. To a sole proprietorship, right?
Yeah, they're actually done on the same tax return.
Yeah.
So an LLC and a sole proprietor, just to give you a little bit of tax information, are done on your Schedule C of the tax return, both of them. Because, if you're a single member LLC and you're a sole proprietor, that means one person, right? Single member and sole, one. So either one is done on a Schedule C. So they're not that much different. You just have a little bit more liability protection under the LLC and added costs in registering the business.
Yeah. So that's a positive and negative, right? You get a little bit more expensive, but a little bit more protection.
Yep, exactly.
So then if they want full protection and they want a little bit more of a thicker wall, then what's next?
Corporation. You go to corporate route. So as a corporation, you are your own entity. So you just had a baby as a corporation. I love all these analogies, right? Oh my God, these comparisons.
No more Siamese twins.
For real.
Yeah.
Now it's a totally separate, extra human.
Yeah.
And there's two types of corporations. You have your C Corp and you have your S Corp. And the way I like to compare the two is the S Corp is the little brother of the C Corp, right? Kind of like a little brother of a C Corp. So each of them issue stock. So you get an opportunity to issue stock. The C Corp has more freedom in the kind of stock you can issue. This is why you got to talk to your lawyer and your CPA. Yeah. I can get into the nitty gritty, but I'll be putting you to sleep.
And it's the amount of stock that you can give, the amount of people that you can incorporate into your corporation too, right, is different.
Yeah.
And a little bit how the tax works is a little bit different.
Yep. And
corporations are a lot more complex. I mean, there's a lot more rules and regulations and the way you handle your money, and you have to have yearly meetings and just the regulations that go on with the corporation is definitely more complex.
Yeah. And, for an S Corp, you got to have yearly meetings as well. So in some aspects, they're similar. In the limitations of an S Corp is you have up to 99 investors in an S Corp. And a C Corp, it's unlimited. And so you can issue unlimited amount of stock in a C Corp. In an S Corp, you have limitations. And also, an S Corp is filed on a different tax return than a C Corp. The S Corp, the earnings do pass through to the personal side. So I can get a little bit more technical there. And a C Corp is actually taxed. The business is taxed as well as the personal. So there's double taxation as a C Corp. So depending on how complex your business is looking or going to go will determine, should I be a C Corp or should I be an S Corp?
Yeah, what your goals are. And is it hard to go from one entity to another?
It's not. It's just filing the paperwork with the IRS when you're making the change. Now, again, you can be an LLC and decide to be taxed as an S Corp as your LLC grows. So you can actually go up from an LLC to a tax. Well, S Corp is a tax status. It's not like its own real entity. It's a tax status. And you can be taxed as an S Corp as an LLC. And then if you started at a C Corp and you're like, no, I think we're going to be better as an S Corp, then you can go down. You just have to file the paperwork with the IRS to request that tax status. But there's more protection. When you go into the corporate world, you're creating a whole separate entity. So there's complete protection, complete separation between your business assets and your personal assets.
Yeah. I got into, can I tell you a story about that really quick?
Yeah.
We'll just wake you up for a second and tell you a story. My second business that I owned in California was a corporation, and I left my business a review on Yelp because I was a part of the business. There were lots of us involved, and I was really happy with some of my team. And so I went on to Yelp and I wrote a review about some of my team, about my business. Well, Yelp took it off and they flagged it. Excuse me. And they said, you can't write a review for your own business. And I wrote them back this long email and I was like, oh yes, I can, because I am a corporation. And as a corporation, I am not at all anywhere connected to that business. So you need to put my review back up. They didn't.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't. But that's so true, right? I was like, this is not me. It's like, I'm here and my corporation is here. And so I should be able to do that.
Right. Two separate entities. No. That's messed up.
I know.
You better change that policy, Yelp.
Yeah. This was a long time ago. So maybe they have. I don't know.
Yeah. They may not know the intricate, let's just say, workings of business entities. They just know the review process.
How to review them.
Yeah.
Yes, how to take down good reviews.
So that can be the reason why.
That was like the old-fashioned way of what is everybody doing upset right now when like you're taking posts down or whatever.
Oh, cancel culture?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got canceled.
Yeah.
It did not meet their policy.
It did not.
What they feel comfortable with.
No. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we covered a couple of different options. There are more options. We had mentioned a nonprofit. So when would a business want to be a nonprofit?
Well, a nonprofit is a business that doesn't earn, that's not for profit. So you're not looking to make profit in your business. Everything goes right back into the business. All the revenue that the business makes goes right back into it, and it's meant to support the community. So it's really supposed to be community focused. It's not supposed to be for-profit driven. Everything goes right back into it. There's another form you got to file with the IRS, the 501c3 you mentioned. You have to request 501c3 status with the IRS and the state, right, to even be able to function as a nonprofit. So that it's a lot more intricate part. So if you have a community focused type of business idea that you want to start, then nonprofit is probably a good way to go with that. Yeah.
I always get kind of weary, I guess, about nonprofit because the one thing I don't like, and just keep this in mind as you guys are, researching other businesses or thinking about your own business, is that as a nonprofit, the owner of the company or the CEO or the president or whatever that is can technically pay themselves as much as they want, right? I mean, so you can still pay salaries as a nonprofit. So if you're running a nonprofit business, you can still pay yourself a salary. That doesn't mean that you're running a nonprofit and you don't make anything, right? It's almost like a corporation that it's separate. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm just kind of
completely separate.
Yeah, it's completely separate. So it's almost like a corporation, the fact that it's separate, but whoever is running the nonprofit can still pay salaries within that company.
Yeah, it can. But the one thing about nonprofits, so this is a nonprofit that has to be run properly. A lot of nonprofits, there's small nonprofits out there. If they got audited, they'd probably get shut down because they're not set up completely right. You have to have a board of directors that governs how the business is run. And there has to be enough for what's called a quorum, right? So
it's called a what?
A quorum.
A quorum.
Yeah,
okay.
So you have to be able to do a majority vote.
Gotcha.
Basically. And so you have to have a certain amount of people in your board to be able to make sure that the nonprofit is being run right. You got to have board meetings. You got to account for all of that. You have to keep recordings. So it gets really intricate in making sure a nonprofit is run correctly. But yes, the owner, if they are the one running the nonprofit, the the operational side of it, they can get paid a salary.
Yeah.
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 It's a fine line to make sure it's being done
Just
right.
be careful. Do it right.
You don't want to get audited.
No.
Oh, no.
No. That's why you partner, like we said, with a business attorney and a CPA. All right. When we get back, we are going to talk about registering your business. We already talked a lot about that, but we're going to go into it again just for you as a quick reminder because it goes along with your business entity.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Let's go.
The 5 things that you can do to get business for $0. These are some marketing tips just for you.
I need more income.
I need more customers.
I'm just getting started. I've been in business for a while and I need fresh ideas.
People just don't know about my business.
I don't know what to do.
If you are a business owner on a budget and any of these questions have crossed your mind, we've got 5 things that you can do to bring in more business without spending a penny. Plus, you can hold yourself accountable with the free printout included with the video. It's time to get off the sidelines and take some action. Check out this free video today.
Bring us in, Maestro.
Let's do it. I got little buttons right here to push now. It's all fancy.
That was great. Well, thank you for following along today. We've been getting a little bit deep. It might be a little detailed, and as far as the conversation, a little boring, but these are important conversations to have. So you'll learn a lot more at thebusinessproject.com. And we make it more fun on thebusinessproject.com because we include community there. You can ask questions. It's very interactive. So it just makes sense to go there. And if you want to get some more, like if you want to dig deeper, go to businessproject.com for that.
Yeah. And we have lots of free videos on there, like that one that we just played a commercial for, the 5 things you can do to get customers for $0. There's also a 28-step checklist on starting your business. So it's basically everything that we're talking about right now in this podcast in a checklist, which is amazing. Both of those videos are free. You go on and you watch the video, and then you get put into a community that we're just now starting. And it's a great community for all of you guys out there that are not wanting to do business alone and that want to be able to ask questions and mentor even other businesses. And as you're going through this process, creating logos, like post it on, say, what do you think of my logo?
And they're PDFs. You could download the information to your desktop, and that way you have it for you. So the tools and resources there are amazing.
Yep.
All meant for your success.
Yeah, lots of goods. Lots of goodies.
Yeah. So now we're talking about how to register a business.
Yeah, we went into lots of detail about it the last podcast.
We did.
Yeah.
So we're just reinforcing kind of like what you can do.
Because once you get a business entity, like once you figure out what business entity you want, then you have to register it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Registering your business. So you can do it one of 2 ways. And it really depends on where you live, what state you live in. I'll give you the state of Tennessee as an example. The state of Tennessee, you can go into the Secretary of State's website, Tennessee SOS.gov. We'll put the link on the show notes. But you can go to the Tennessee Secretary of State website and you can register your business there. There's a step-by-step guide. It asks you questions and you put it in there, and then at the end it'll charge you a fee depending on the business the entity that you chose. But you can start there first before even getting your tax ID number from the IRS.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some states require you to have a tax ID number first. Yeah. Because they'll ask you what it is. For the Tennessee Secretary of State, you don't. So either where, depending on where you live, you might have to go get your tax ID number first, which is the social security number for your business. They call it a tax ID or a EIN number. And you can get that at irs.gov, and that's free. You don't have to pay to get that. So if someone's charging you for that, they're charging you for their time probably, but you can do it yourself.
Yeah, when you go and search for like get an EIN number or register your business, a lot of times these websites will pop up. Yep. That it's so crazy because like it's just like doing it through the IRS, except for they charge you a fee
charge you
for
a
it.
fee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
20 or $30. And little do you know, it's just because they pop up first.
Yes.
They like pay to do that. And then it's the same exact, all they do is like give that to the website that you should be doing it on, and except for you paid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I think a lot of people put irs.com
Oh,
or
yeah.
irs.net.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just IRS. You go to the irs.gov. You go to that website and it'll take you directly to the IRS.
Yeah.
And then you can do it for free. And it's pretty easy. The IRS, believe it or not, the IRS does not make it hard to get a tax ID number.
Yeah. That's good because they want your taxes.
Yeah, they do everything else hard,
Yeah.
but they make that easy. Exactly. Oh, yes. Let's get more money.
Give me your money.
So that's really, after you figured out your entity, that would be the next step. Getting your tax ID number from the IRS and registering with the Secretary of State site. And you can, depending on where you live, it can flip-flop step one or step two between those.
And I think I mentioned in previous podcasts that I've started, like, at this point, I think 6 businesses, 7, 8, I don't even know. But I've never done all of this on my own. I did it one time and I messed it all up.
Yeah.
A
lot of people do that too.
Yeah. I don't even know
alone.
how I messed it up, but I messed it up big time and it created all this like craziness, confusion. And so I always have my CPA do it. I'm like, hey, I'm wanting to start another business. Can you, like, here's all my stuff. Can you just make it happen? And it costs a little bit of extra money, but it's totally worth it to know that it's done right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it saves you time.
It does.
You don't have to worry. You can focus on getting the marketing and the branding going for the business while the boring people do the boring stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Again, you want to make sure you do it right from the beginning. I can tell you a testament of it is a pain in the butt when it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the butt because if you go to different websites or you try to sign up for different, let's just say, grant opportunities, or you want to be a contractor with the federal government or your state government, they're going to require some documentation for your business that you didn't even know you needed.
Yeah.
You can technically set up your business with the Secretary of State registration and your tax ID number, and in the eyes of the government, you're good to go. But in the eyes of other agencies and institutions, you're not. You need other things. So
Yeah. So make sure you do that. And then if you're selling, you need to get your resale certificate.
you need to get a resale certificate. So once you register with the Secretary of State and the IRS, you have to figure out what other departments you have to register with. So some cities require a license to operate, a business license. And that can be a city and a county that you might need to get a business license from. If you're selling product, you got to get a resale certificate. So you can pay sales tax on the stuff that you're selling.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to talk about too, I think, is a lot of times people get confused when they're just starting out if they need to charge sales tax or not.
Yeah.
So if you're selling a service, like you're an electrician or a plumber or a personal trainer or a hair salon, you don't need to charge unless you're selling like hair products or whatever. So if
Right.
it's a product, you charge sales tax. If it's a service, you don't. Correct?
Correct.
Is that in every state too?
Well,
Is the same?
it can vary. Some states can charge sales tax for anything and everything that they want to, depending on where you live. Like I guarantee you, California, you probably got to pay sales tax if you breathe over there, right? So some states, every state can.
Sorry,
be different.
guys in California, we still love you.
We still love you. It's
We
a
know
beautiful
there's still
state.
good people in California.
I said that because Casey's from over there.
Yeah. I still have lots of family there. I love it. Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to make sure that you are registering with the right departments.
Right.
Sales tax is a very important, because if you're selling a product, the state wants their cut.
Yeah.
That's the biggest revenue generator for states is sales tax. Some states charge income tax too, but some states don't. Income tax. So you have to, if you have employees, if your business has employees and you're paying them through W-2, like a paycheck where the taxes come out, you got to register with the labor department in the state. So that's another thing.
Hiring employees is another huge, huge topic. I don't know if we go over that in our list of podcasts, but eventually we will do a podcast about hiring employees. Even if you're not there yet with your business, the goal is to be there one day, right? Unless you want to work yourself into the ground. Hopefully you guys are getting your businesses up and running with a plan of delegating some things. And so eventually when you bring on employees, there's a lot that goes into that.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we should do an episode on that.
We will.
Yeah. But you got to register with the Department of Labor.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of steps that you have to, when you're talking with your CPA and your attorney, know to ask those questions.
Hopefully that was helpful. Not too intimidating, not too boring.
No, that was good.
It was good. And he's an expert. He knows all of that stuff. So if you need some help, head on over, get a video, and go to the community so that you can ask John. I'm sure I'm volunteering all of your time. He'll help you.
Shoot us a
each
message.
Individually for 5 hours.
For sure. Shoot us
kidding.
a message. We're here to support you.
Yes. You go on another break,
Let's go.
and then we're going to talk about a business bank account.
Oh,
why
I like
you
this.
should have one.
Yeah. Let's go. CFD Services Inc. is your one-stop shop for small business support. We take care of the small stuff so you can take care of what matters most, your clients. Visit our website at cfdservicesinc.com for more information on what we offer and to schedule your free consultation today. And we're back.
We're
That was
back.
awesome.
That was quick.
I like you're getting the hang of that little switch thing.
I
there.
know. It's so fun. We only have one camera view right now.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't noticed, normally it goes back and forth between, I said, let's just start with one and then we're going to add them.
Get the
But
hang
because
of
then
it.
I got to switch with my little fancy buttons all the time.
Yeah.
So we'll
Get
get
the hang of
there.
it. Yeah. Getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
So you got to practice.
Practice
Practice makes perfect.
It does. Yes. All right. Business bank account. I'm passionate about this one because I've worked with a lot of businesses that have gotten started and they start their business using their personal checking account and then they go to do their taxes and it is a complete nightmare because they haven't separated their transactions. And so it takes them 5 times longer than it would have if they would have just separated them from the beginning.
You want to pay your tax preparer triple or quadruple the amount that you should be paying them to file your taxes? Don't open a business. Run a business and don't open a business bank account.
Yeah.
That some of them might even turn you away just because of the complexity of it all.
Yeah, because what happens is even if you're doing a sole proprietorship and you're like, hey, I just want to do this thing on the side and just sell tables. Then you go to Lowe's and you get some wood and you get started and then you're like, oh, well, I need this. And then you go to Hobby Lobby and you get some supplies and then you like work a little bit and then you go to Hobby Lobby for your personal stuff at home to make Christmas decorations. And later you're like, I don't know if this Hobby Lobby was for my business or for my personal. And then it just becomes this whole big nightmare. And if you get a separate business account from the very beginning, you can put an initial investment in there so it helps you budget better. So you're like, I'm going to start this business with $500. You put $500 into your business bank account, and then you know everything that comes out of that bank account was business related. You can attach that to your accounting system that automatically pulls your transactions. Super easy to put them in categories. You run your reports. You know exactly how much you spent, exactly how much you made. So much easier.
So much easier.
Yeah.
It's just you got to put the first step in place before it can be easy, right? And all that is really, so you opened your business account, right? You got your entity, you registered your business, you're ready to go to the bank to open the account, or you decide I need a business account. And yeah, you need a business account, not only just to make sure your transactions are separated, like your personal and business life are separated. When they're together, that's called commingling. Like you're not commingling your funds between your personal and business life. You separate that. And not only is that important for taxes and bookkeeping purposes to make sure your business, you understand the health of your business, but also for building business credit. There's a lot of videos out there right now talking about business credit. And one of the main steps in building business credit is having a separate business bank account. So if you're interested in business credit, that's your first step to building it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got your personal credit and then you have your business credit.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. Can you do business credit even as a sole proprietorship?
To a point.
To a point?
Yeah. Business credit really is more for LLCs or above.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But sole proprietors can have a business credit card because it's personally guaranteed and stuff like that. Anything
Right.
that you personally guarantee, you can do as a sole proprietor.
You can still have a business bank account as a sole proprietor.
For sure. It's
Yeah.
still recommended.
Yeah.
Because you still want to separate your transactions.
Right.
That's huge.
And so what does somebody need when they go to open a business bank account?
Well, number one, you got to grab all your documentation that you got when you registered your business. So you need your tax ID number, Secretary of State filings. You also need, depending on your business entity, an operating agreement or your articles of incorporation.
Yeah. Which that's something that we didn't talk about when you're getting started as a business. If you have partners, you definitely need to have a partnership agreement, an operating agreement. That all of that needs to be in writing before you do anything, because that's another thing that I've seen a million times is they're best friends and everything's so great and they're going to do this. But then once either debt comes into it or profit comes into it, either way, it tears the relationship apart. And so having an operating agreement makes it so much easier as far as setting expectations and what happens if the business fails and what that looks like. So important.
You want to have it in black and white, and it's required anyway. If you're going to do anything as far as financial is concerned, they're going to want to see it. So yeah, if you're going to be with partners, if you're going to have multiple investors in your business or what have you, you got to make sure that you have that well written. Get with your CPA and attorney. We keep coming back to that because it's true. They will help you ensure that your business is established right and to have the proper documentation.
Yeah. And there's things that I know we're kind of squirreling off, but there's things that you don't think about when you're just starting a business, especially if you have a partner. Like, what happens if one of us passes away? Mm-hmm. What happens to the business? Does it automatically go to your spouse or whoever, your will says? Or do you sell it? Do you have first option to purchase as the other partner? So there's a lot of little details like that. It's just like having insurance or having, properly written contracts. It's hopefully you don't need it, but it is a heck of a lot easier if you establish all of that at the beginning versus trying to figure it all out later when you're in the middle of the mess and there's so much emotions tied to it and money's involved and all of that.
You don't need it until you need it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's when you don't want it. That's the position you don't want to be in.
No.
Right? So get that stuff together and then you can go and say, now I'm ready to open a bank account. But then the question is, where should I go? Like, which bank is the best bank for me? Or, should it be a bank or should it be a credit union? Because credit unions also do business bank accounts as well.
Why don't we start there? What's the difference between a bank and a credit union?
So a bank is a for-profit institution. Banks are run by shareholders. So I'll give you some examples. You have the Chases, the Bank of Americas, the Wells Fargos, the what's the big one? Regions. You have those. Those are banks. So they have shareholders. They're for-profit organizations, and they do loans and all that stuff, right? Credit unions are not for profit. So credit unions have members, and as a member, you're part owner of the credit union. So what the credit union does is the products and services that they offer are meant for the betterment of their members in the community,
right?
Because the money that they generate goes right back into the members. Into the members.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one thing to consider. One thing you also want to take into consideration is banks typically have better access to technology. So if you're looking for convenience, larger banks might be a way to go because their technology is better because they have more money to invest in that side of things versus a credit union, which is more localized.
Yeah.
So if you're somewhere, another part of the country, might not be as convenient to find a location if you need it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My chair keeps squeaking. I'm hoping that you guys can't hear it, think that I'm pooting. I promise it's my chair. It's so funny. I just had to mention that. Get away from the seriousness really quick. Do you hear it? Do you hear my chair squeaking? No. It's like doing like a little creak every now and then.
Okay.
Now it's not going to do it. Yeah. Anyways, okay.
That's what she had for lunch.
Yeah. All right. So the difference between a bank and a credit union. You guys got that. You guys know now what to bring when you go start a business bank account. And so what else do they need to know about a bank? Anything else? They good?
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's really, it doesn't matter. It's what you like the most. I would say visit both. Visit one of each.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about with the bank is, and a book that I recommend is Profit First. That is a really good book. I don't do exactly what he says open like 7 different bank accounts. I don't do all 7. I only have 3. Well, technically 4 because I have my personal one, but I love that book because it is a great way to almost budget out what you have. So you have your income account. Have you read that book before?
I haven't read it, but I know the model.
The gist of it.
Yeah.
You have your income account, and then you have your operating expenses account, and then you have your profit and your tax account. And so as everything goes into your income account, and then you take that by percentages and you put it into your other accounts.
Yep.
So like you have a certain percentage going to operating expenses and then your taxes, and it just makes it so much easier at the end of the year to like, okay, so now I have money for my taxes and I'm not freaking out.
Right.
But then it also helps you prioritize paying yourself as a business. It's a really cool concept. So
Yeah.
That's something to consider too when you're opening up your bank account. I mean, something that I would really highly recommend is having your income separate from like at least 3 accounts. So like your income account, everything goes into that. Your operating expense, I only have a debit card for my operating expense account. So everything that I spend money on goes out of that. And then I have like a tax and profit account.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I'm not surprised at the end of the year. And it just helps you not overspend because those things are just as important as your operating expenses.
For sure. And that, that's just a financial strategy. It's how do you want to grow your business or make sure that you're operating it in a way that is going to really give you an idea of the health of your business, right? So, along with the bookkeeping software and the accounting software and all of that, making sure that what you owe. And so basically you have an account for everything that you owe, right? Or the main categories of what you owe: expenses, taxes, and yourself. So basically yourself is a bill to the company. So you want to make sure that those are funded. So you set your bank accounts up so that you can meet those major expenses for the business. And it's really, listen, I'm a proponent. If you're just starting out, get yourself a checking and a savings account. As you grow in complexity, you're going to notice you're going to need to add a couple additional accounts in there, especially for taxes and expenses. Yeah. So you'll see, if you're focusing on the growth of your business, that you're going to need to expand the kind of accounts that you have.
Yeah, especially sales tax. Like that's another good one to have a separate account for, so you're not accidentally thinking that that's money that you have in your account. And that's another thing to consider when you're opening bank accounts is some of them charge extra for additional accounts, or they charge fees to have a bank account. And so that's something that you need to ask. You don't want to end up paying $50 a month just for all these bank accounts when there's other banks that'll do all of that for free.
Shop around.
Yeah.
Shop around. You don't necessarily have to have a business account in the same place you have a personal account in, just because it's convenient. You want to make sure it's the right place, and it's the most cost effective, but also gives you the access and resources you need to manage your business properly. Good stuff.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
We did.
We thought it was going to be short. It was not very short.
It actually went a little bit longer.
We talked a lot.
Well, we had to make it a little bit fun too. So, we didn't want you just sleeping on us.
No sleeping.
So
my chair's pooning. Bringing in all the jokes.
But I hope you got something out of this episode, and we're moving along. Right now, your business, I think you're just ready to kill it.
I think so. We're good. What are we talking about next week? Next week is going to be fun too. Setting up accounting. Ooh. Filling out a starting budget.
Budgets.
Ooh. Finish business plan.
All right. So we got, there's still a couple little, next week is tying up the loose ends, really.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. Accounting is a big one. Mm-hmm. Just, what accounting systems to look for. How do you get it all set up?
And we'll hit a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple out there.
Budgets. A lot of people hate the word budget,
Mm-hmm.
but it's good. And budget is a good word when you do it correctly.
Yeah.
Lots of things coming up. We've got technically like 5 more really before you're like ready to launch. So after this episode, we've got 5 more episodes. And after the 15th episode of the Business Project Podcast, you can say, I am ready, baby. Let's go do this.
Yeah. I mean, nothing's going to stop you at that point.
Nothing.
You put the proper research in, you put the proper preparation in, and now you have the right tools, the right foundation in place. You're ready to crush it.
Yeah. After listening to all 15 of these, this first 15 weeks, you are probably 95% ahead of all of the other businesses.
Yep.
Or you're the 5% above all the other businesses. Did I say
Yeah.
that right? Like all the rest, 95% have not done what you've done.
Right. Yes, that was good.
So you should kill it.
Yeah. So keep on. Go back, refresh, and come back next week. And thank you again. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. We are on all of those all those avenues: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Share with your friends, because I guarantee you're not the only one starting a business, and just grow with us.
Yeah. I think a lot of podcast people say that at the end. I feel like that's at the end of all the podcast things, because it is so important. That's really the only way to have a successful podcast. All this time and energy that we're putting into this, it's so important that people that are enjoying it are letting other people know that they're enjoying it. I mean, comment, share, like, all of that makes such a big difference, like a lot bigger than you could even ever imagine.
Yep, agreed. So help us out as we help you.
Yes. All right, we will catch you next week for week 11
Oh, already.
with lots of good information.
Whew. Take care. Have a great one.
Bye. This works, huh? Yeah. And that one's just gonna be done. Like, I cut the beginning off, I cut the end off, and it's done. Everything's done. I don't have to spend 3 hours editing it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm hoping that it sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll see. Once we get that other meeting.